Hello and welcome to the Ohio Arts Council's Rife Gallery. This is the A Common Thread Exhibition's DIY Ekphrastic Writing Workshop. Today we're going to explore ekphrastic poetry as an extension of the exhibition, while our facilitator, poet and writer Dr. Susann Moeller, will walk you through her prompts inspired by the exhibition step by step. Please note you are welcome and encouraged to pause the video and work at your own pace. All right, welcome, Susann.
Well, thank you for having me and welcome everybody. Welcome to this workshop. Let me, as an introduction, talk just for a moment about tie-dye. It's tie-dye on the page that we are looking at today as opposed to on fabric, as you see here in the exhibition. Now we know tie-dye from our good old hippie days, if we were there. It's usually called shibori, and it's often used, a technique often used by artist Susan Kavanagh, who is honored in this exhibition. And the technique involves manual resist dyeing. So based on that, we poets here today will do something similar. We're going to bunch and bind and bundle and fold our writings to arrive at a poem that spreads unevenly, not across fabric, but across the page. So inspired by works in this exhibition that comment on our lives and our environment, we will literally piece together poems like our existence appears in pieces, put together or fallen apart. We will load and embed our poems with metaphors. So think about metaphors as you look at the piece at last. So what is a metaphor? A metaphor compares two unlike things to show a relationship without using like or as. So you equate one thing with another, as for instance, in language is a house on fire. Then we have imagery. Let's look at imagery. Visual description that creates a mental picture in the reader's mind. And let's take for an example, her dress billowed in the wind like a flag surrendering to summer. And there are sensory details, which are evocative descriptions using the five senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch, you know. For example, the metallic smell of blood mingled with the sweat on his hands. There's also personification. And that happens when non-human objects are given human qualities and characteristics. Such an example would be the city stretched itself awake, yawning with the first light of morning. So I'd like you to apply these phenomena to the art piece here called Fauna Revisited. We're going to extend the usage of various tools that we have with the hyperbole, which is an extreme or extravagant exaggeration. For example, I am so tired, I could sleep for 100 years, wake up, and still need a nap. Then there is alliteration, which is the repetition of similar consonant sounds at the beginning of words. We used our words. We used what words we had to weld that words we had. We wielded, kneeled, we knelt and wept. We wrung the wet, the sweat. So that was an example for alliteration. And an example for onomatopoeia, which is when a word imitates how it sounds, like the bees buzzing and bang and pow, and the beat drops, bam, boom. And here you have a little flowchart that might help you in creating some metaphors. On the left side, we have an object, and here it is. I chose life. And on the right side, we have the vehicle, namely that which describes life. And so, it's nothing new. We use life's journey. So journey and life. And how do we put them together as a metaphor? Life is a journey. Now, don't use it. It's been overused 100 times, but it's a good example. The meaning of it is that life is a long experience that unfolds for us in the manner of traveling to our final destination. Also helpful might be the next little chart that we have there, that has 5 categories: subject, emotion, alternative image, and 2 actually, 3 alternative images, and how do you put them together? So we know that our brains are problem solvers, and as soon as you hear something, the brain fills in the blanks. And so when we want to write, her eyes sparkled, the brain immediately goes, like diamonds, diamonds, put in diamonds. So problem quickly solved with our brain. But the best metaphors usually take a push beyond the low-hanging fruit. And they are unexpected. They sucker punch you, but you thank them anyway. So try to push past your initial thought, past those sparkling diamond eyes, and think of the state you're trying to describe to come up with some new, fresh options. And I have an example here. And the woman said, "Watch the way we become campfire, how you cannot scrub out our smoke stain." Now, if that ain't fresh, I don't know what is. Okay, we are going to our first exercise now. Are you ready? Kavanaugh's material, often reused in these artworks, is parachute fabric. And so think about its uses and appearances as underlayment, overlayment, and create 3 metaphors. So I'd like to invite you to come over to this corner here and look at the jellyfish installation. Any resemblance? Any triggers there? Next, I am going to ask you to join me in a metaphor mashup. 2 columns here, A and B. And column A lists things that are a part of you or your life, and column B lists objects or images. So take 3 words from column A and combine those with 3 words in column B to get a new metaphor. For instance, your heart, column A, is a haunted house, column B. Your mother's silence, column A, is the Pacific Ocean. Your father, column A, is a flickering bulb. So just pause for a moment and take some time to write and apply this to the following artwork or another piece in the exhibition. We're going to exercise 2 now. And after you've looked at the piece Traveling Case, I'd like you to possibly explore the piece Gathering Rooster. Might inspire some additional ideas with regards to thematic diction and going beyond your initial metaphor to turn it into an extended metaphor. So, to thematic diction, once you have a metaphor that feels strong, complex enough that you could extend it over multiple lines, then use thematic diction to amplify its impact. Thematic diction refers to words that feel like they're part of the same world or category. For example, we're basing it on our initial one, which is a simple metaphor. My mother's silence is the Pacific Ocean. Now we create a list of words that complement this metaphor of the Pacific Ocean, such as jetty, wave, crash, tide, shoreline, saltwater, fish, seaweed, and so on. My mother's silence is the Pacific Ocean. Remember? Now, extend it. A high tide of loneliness lapping the beach to spill saltwater secrets. That's a nice extended metaphor. So, write them on 3 separate slips of papers, of 3 separate slips of paper, your ideas, the things that complement the metaphor, other words that relate to ocean. And from there, then, we move to exercise 3. You have created various metaphors. And now that you've done that, I want you to rip them up into separate pieces and mix them up. Throw them up or just scatter them on the table and randomly select one and apply it to this piece called Friend. And for some more fun, again, randomly choose another few slips of paper and apply them to this piece called Murmur. And since all good things come in 3s, supposedly, use the remaining slips of paper to create a metaphor for this piece, Weavings. That is all for today. Thank you for being part of this Ekphrastic poetry workshop at the Rife Gallery. Till next time.
Thank you again for joining us for this DIY ekphrastic writing workshop led by Susann Moeller as a part of our programming for the A Common Thread exhibition. Special thank you to Susann for the generosity of her time and talent, to our curators, the participating artists, as well as the Ohio Arts Council's board, the Ohio legislature, and the governor, all who support the Ohio Arts Council, this great space, and of course, Ohio artists. Thanks everyone, and have a great day.